Hey, what's up everyone? So in today's video I am going to be doing a 3D piece. I think it's called like a Moroccan rug. Let me just double check. So this is the mood board for my personal project. Come on now. Yes, so it is quite expansive. This is what I started off with. Which has lots of information on it. Really heavily inspired by stylized stuff, Shoe Ghibli especially, and as part of the personal project I really want to have this rug incorporated, but I'm having to think about optimization, and I might sculpt the details and then bake them onto just the rug, which has a lot less planes and therefore is a lot more optimized and less expensive. And this is more stuff I've added over time, and this is the rug I really want to kind of recreate. I had one when I was younger and I really liked them. I just think they're so interesting and vibrant, and I really want to make this. I tried to do it in Substance Designer but it failed massively, and then I'll see how dense it is in topology. If I think it's okay, then I might just actually keep that as is. But I think it would be okay just to bake that information onto a plane that I've already made, which I'll just show you guys. Yeah, so this is where I got the rug reference, just in case you're interested in purchasing it. I don't know, I've just put it there in case you are, so there you go. I have my coffee here and I have my water, so I'm all ready to go. I'm all set for a shift of uni work. Just gotta do it. This is currently all the work I have for my personal project. There is some stuff in Unreal Engine as well, because I have some things that are already textured. So I have like some tileable textures for the awning and for like the pavement section, but that's not for today's video. Today's video we're going to be focusing on this rug. So I'll just pull it out so we can see a little bit better on its own. Whoa. And focus. So this is the rug base. This is a low poly that will be going into Engine. It's a low poly as well that will have all the texture information baked onto it. And today I really want to focus on making that this sort of design for it to go onto. I'll go to one that's more head on actually. My mouse hates me. So you can kind of see here, because it's fabric, where there's like stitching, I guess, there's a sort of like bumps in and out, so it's like it bumps, bump, 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 bumps. So it's not like a perfect like cylindrical shape, it bunches up. So I'm going to be thinking as well, once I've made it, how I can get that effect. Like I said, I'm just going to try a few different ways and just see what works best. I'll probably notice quite quickly what's working and what's not, and then we can move on to texturing. Yeah, so that's a good size. Okay, so let's see if we can maybe get some curves onto this. I want to make sure that when I have this, I'm going to press a magnet to make sure when I'm putting a curve down, it is sticking to that surface, so I don't need to worry about going back and trying to fix it later on. So I've got that, and then I want to create curve tool, C curve tool. I'm gonna give it like a little bit of a bend just because like I don't really want it to be like super perfect. Oh, that's too much though. Okay, that's a good start. So now we want to go and we want to get a cylinder ready. Okay, so I'm gonna get this one ready for being able to be used on the curve without having any like horrible issues. The way I go about it is, ever since I watched this video, I can't remember the guy's name off by heart, but I will link him down below and put his name. He was really helpful because I was new to curves. Like I literally didn't even know I had curves. I knew Blender had curves and stuff like that because I'd used it in Blender before. But mine was totally new. When I noticed that you could deform with curves, I was blown away. So I watched a lot of his videos about it, so he kind of goes over how you can snap it to the surface, and how to get a cylindrical shape ready to be placed down, because of course you don't want these faces here because it's going to distort, and you also want to make sure that the mesh that you're getting ready at the cylinder is all like merged, combined and all that stuff. So he was really helpful, and he also goes over twists as well, which were really cool. Right, so we want to go on faces, select all of them, and just get rid of these ones, and then delete. Oh, some naughty ones left. Right, object mode, text. Bottom, and then control duplicate, bring it up, control duplicate, bring it up. Okay. And then mesh, combine, and then merge wherever you are, merge. And control duplicate just a few more times. So we now have it on and it looks fine. I think now I might go in and try and make these sort of like indented sections. I think I want soft selection on just to make it nicer. That's like quite nice. At the end of the day, it's just going to be a texture. It's not even going to be the main thing, and I think it looks quite good like that. So I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it about and kind of mishmash the other ones a little bit, just to give it a bit of a difference, so it's not identical all the time. I also want to make sure that the ends here are coming out past this plane, because then when I bake the information on, if I make sure that they're out past the plane, then I get all the information. So yeah, that's just one piece of advice I would have for you guys if you're wanting to make a sort of sculpted or modeled texture rather than using Substance Designer. Just make sure the object that you're putting on top of the plane cover the plane. Anything out with the plane won't be baked, and anything that comes short is just going to be filled with an empty space. But you can always check how it's looking. So for instance, if I wanted to check how it's looking right now, so I've got Substance Painter open just now, so I just go File, New, and then usually when we're testing things, or when I'm testing things anyway, I like to just keep it as normals in the ambient occlusion. I do like to knock up the output size and put the 4x4 tessellation count, not tessellation, sampling on, just because sometimes if I leave this at 0 or this at 512 and I first bake it, I'm like, oh my god, this looks horrible. But as soon as you start putting that resolution up and put 4x4, it looks a lot more detailed, and sometimes you just realise the bake did work. It's just that because of the resolution and the sampling size, it was hiding a lot of it. Oh yeah, bummer. I wonder if this is because I didn't unwrap it, which it probably is. Just gonna increase this to see what that does. Right, so this is what it looks like just now. Obviously it looks rough because it's not like a final piece or anything like that, but you can kind of get the idea of where the ends were, and then also where the central section was. I'll just do another test to show you guys what it would look like. you're going to see these massive empty spaces, which is not what you want. So yeah. So me being me, I took a wee break, and when I came back I completely forgot to turn on the camera and therefore the microphone as well, so I'm just going to talk over this bit on what I done next. So I basically finished fleshing out the modelled sort of rug section in Maya, and I'd always keep checking it in Substance Painter just to make sure that it looked like it was baking okay. And then I wanted to take it over into Zbrush to give it some more fine detailing that I could only do with sculpting. So I first wanted to make sure that I dynameshed this just so it was all one solid mesh, no holes or anything like that, so it just kind of gave me a clean slate to work with. I then used the damn standard brush to sort of bring back in some of that crevice detailing just so it looked like it had more depth, and then I wanted to add some folds because after all this was fabric and I could see that there was some folds in the reference image, so I wanted to put that in as well. I think I got carried away with the sculpting section because this was originally meant to be like a very stylized piece, and the further and further I went along I was adding more sort of fabric detailing that really wasn't necessary, and if I'm being honest kind of made it end up looking more realistic. I then wanted to change the alpha brush I had so that I could almost essentially stamp some extra detailing so it looked like it was fraying a little bit or had more clumps in certain sections, just to give it a bit of variety, and this is again something that made it look more realistic as opposed to stylized. If you don't have access to something like Zbrush though, you could always do this section in Blender. I used Blender years ago, but I've always heard really good things about it. It's probably something I really ought to go back and learn more about, but I'm almost certain that Blender has, as well as modelling, it does have the ability to sculpt as well, so you could totally just do this whole process in Blender. I'm then going through the very tedious and laborious task of adding in those sort of threads. There probably could have been another way I went about it, but this is the way I ended up going about it until I had genuinely hundreds of small rings everywhere, and then I just merged these all into one mesh and just tweaked them around a little bit. I think overall it looked really well. There's again probably a quicker way I could have gone about this, but this is just the way I chose to do it because it gave me more ability to manipulate individual parts. And then for the last time I put it into Substance Painter to see how it would look. So this is how it finally looked in Substance Painter when it was just baking the sculpted information onto a single plane. I think it came out looking really nice. I'm really happy with the results for this. All that's next really is to texture it, but before I do that I'll be probably tweaking around with it just a little bit more. I'm also going to be making a video on how I go through the texturing process as well. I'll probably be releasing that either next week or the week after. But yeah, I now finally have a rug base to work with. I really wanted to make this because when I was scrolling through YouTube trying to look for sort of examples on how to make a rug that would look like this, I never actually found anything, so I thought while I was making it I might as well just record it so that I can share my experience in case it helps anyone else or anyone else has any like tips and tricks. But I really hope this video was helpful, and if you joined along I hope it was fun, and I will see you guys either next Monday or the Monday after with another video that will be continuing all of this for the texturing process.